What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American Politics, back in with a new video. Today, it is time to do another polling analysis video. That is right, folks. It's another poll watch video. And today, we have 3 different polls from the one great pollster in Trafalgar, releasing in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Arizona, respectively. So today, we're going to be discussing what the polls show, how does it look for this fall, and really looking at how the sampling looked at each poll, because I like Trafalgar, but there's some questions I have about the sampling size, and I want to hear some, answers why. I'm not questioning how Trafalgar does it, but some of these, sample sizes for, like, party ID and stuff doesn't seem quite right. But who knows? Maybe there's a valid explanation out there. I just don't know. Now, before I forget, of course, I hope you enjoy these type of videos. If you do, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, and yes, of course, go follow that mysterious Twitter account in the description down below. And also join the channel. That is right, folks. For just 10 cents a day, you can join Real American Politics. I recommend you do it today. All right, folks. So Trafalgar has released 3 polls from Michigan, Wisconsin, and Arizona. And we're going to start in Michigan, all right? We're going to go in order. So Michigan, of course, only has one statewide race. That is, of course, the gubernatorial race. And Gretchen Whitmer is at 49.4%, while Tudor Dixon's at 45.3%. Now, there are some interesting data points to look at. Number one, the Libertarian candidate. If you don't know with polling, all right, not just one poll or another, every single freaking poll the past 20 years, the Libertarian vote share has always been oversampled. They've always gotten way too many Republican, or I should say Libertarian votes. And most of the time, these Libertarian / other votes I also include into Libertarian category because, well, Libertarian Party is usually the 3rd biggest party in America. But the point is these votes tend to, be overstated. And most of those voters tend to go to the Republican. Now, there's some times where that's wrong. But based on history, right? Based on basic history, that's kind of what happens, right? Based on history we have, these voters tend to go to the Republican. So that alone is a very interesting data point. Now, there are some other parts of this poll that is interesting. Number one, Whitmer's only at 49%. Now, there is, of course, the opportunity or the chance that this, they oversampled. I should say that this is within the margin of error. This is not a good result for an incumbent. Being under 50% as an incumbent governor especially, that usually tends to mean you are in deep trouble. That's just history. History says if you're under 50% as the governor, right, you tend to lose races. And of course, there's 2.5% undecided. So you start doing some math here. It appears Whitmer's in bigger trouble than we originally thought. If she was at 52%, again, there is a shot because sampling error. But based on what I'm seeing here, Dixon has a serious shot of winning this race. And this is right after the primaries, essentially. And she's already at 45.3%. Considering Whitmer has by far the name recognition edge, that's not a good sign for her. And as the campaign goes in, the fall days and all that good stuff, there's a good chance that Whitmer does go down this far. Now, there is one part that made me scratch my head. This is the thing I'm talking about with Trafalgar having weird crosstabs. This here, party participation. Trafalgar, I have some serious questions. How did you get a D+17 sample in Michigan? I honestly don't know how that's even possible. And this is what I mean that Trafalgar, in my opinion, has to answer, how they got this. Is there a chance this is a possibility? Yeah, there is. But based on the data I've seen, and this is based on party ID lean voters, right? These are leaned ID voters. So we can look at, Fox exit polls, which In 2020, they asked party ID by, lean. I wish they just asked by, are you a Republican or not, but that's beside the point. And you look at this, Michigan was an R+2 state. How did they get D+17? And I really want to know which one's accurate. If it's R+2, Dixon's going to win this race easily. Now, is there a chance that, Trafalgar has a different methodology for party ID? Of course. But this just seems a bit off, all right? And again, I want to hear, your guys' thoughts on what's going on here. But from what I can see, it appears they oversampled, Democrat-leaning voters. I mean, you look at gender, for example, they definitely did for, female voters. I think they were also undersampled white voters. I could be wrong, but it just seems like some of these, crosstabs for ethnicity and gender, they seem a bit too high for minorities and, women voters, especially in a red wave year like this, in a lower turnout election. You wouldn't really see this many black voters come out. I know it's Michigan, but still, that seems a bit high. Again, I could be wrong about this, but it just, I don't know. It just doesn't seem right. But for now, it does give me the suspicions that Tudor Dixon actually has a serious shot of winning. I wouldn't say she's favored yet. Of course not, because obviously the poll shows her losing. But I think overall, Tudor Dixon, has a much higher chance of winning than those originally expected. And of course, I think she's gonna win by the end, but I want to call her favored just yet. So that's that in Michigan. The next state, of course, is the great state of Wisconsin. Now, this is where I have some major problems with the Trafalgar polls. And I think they're going to miss Wisconsin. Usually, they're basically spot on in Wisconsin. This time around, I think they're going to be flat out wrong. I truly think this will be one of those times where they're just going to be wrong. Now, people are going to say, oh, but you just said, it's a bad sign for the incumbent governor to, be under 50, and Ron Johnson's at 47%. You're like, yes, he's a Senate candidate that's under 50%. But I have some serious questions here. Because namely, right, Mandela Barnes, who, nobody knows who this clown is. And the people that do know who he is, he doesn't have a necessarily high favorability rating, is at 49.4%. But Tony Evers is somehow doing worse than Mandela Barnes. Somehow Tim Michaels is almost beating Tony Evers. This kind of solidifies the idea that, Evers is done no matter what. But this idea that the Republicans would do better at the governorship than the Senate race, I find that hard to believe. Ron Johnson's a significantly stronger candidate than Tim Michaels when you factor in the electoral stuff. I mean, it's just a fact. I like Tim Michaels, but Ron Johnson can run it up in Waukesha. That's just a fact. He can run it up there. But it's just weird. And you look at some of these other demographics and similar thing. You look at party ID, R+2. You look here, it was R+7 in 2020. So you start looking at this, it's like, Trafalgar, you have some questions because, again, Ron Johnson's not losing. He's not going to lose. I mean, look, as somebody on the ground in Wisconsin, Barnes has negative energy. He literally has no energy outside, the hardcore, neoliberal, progressive base in Madison. That's the only place in Wisconsin he has any energy. The rest of the state, I think, he's going to get annihilated in. It's just a fact. It does not look too good for Barnes when you look at it. And Ron Johnson's been running a solid campaign, all right? He has been barnstorming the state, unironically. He's actually been campaigning, unlike some candidates. And he's been running a solid campaign. Same thing for Michaels. But again, I think this does confirm that Tony Evers, he's dead on arrival. And of course, with Wisconsin polling, you do got to take a grain of salt, even with Trafalgar. Because with Trafalgar, sometimes they, get off. They get some bad things off. And Wisconsin's a hard state to poll. And before 2020, I don't believe they polled Wisconsin before. Again, I got to look up the historical stuff, but this is one of those states that even Trafalgar, I have a feeling, is going to get wrong by a lot. So that's kind of that in Wisconsin. Just, I have some questions. I really want to see how they weighed this poll, because it just didn't seem right. It doesn't sit, you have that feeling in your stomach, like, that gut feeling like, this doesn't feel right. That's one of those situations where I just disagree with the poll. Again, it is their polling numbers, but I really want to see how they weighed it. So I hope we get some insight into that. It just doesn't seem right. That's just my opinion. Again, I have a bias, obviously, but look at some of these, sample sizes for these subgroups. It just doesn't sit right. Now there's one more state we have to discuss, Arizona. First of all, once again, just like what we saw in Michigan, the Libertarian candidates gained significant vote share, 4.5%. And we know what Libertarians do. They tend to be overstated in polls, and those voters tend to go to toward the Republicans. It's a fact. I mean, outside of like maybe twice I could think of, did the Libertarian support not go to the Republican. And you look here, let's say you take 2.5% of the Libertarian vote, and it goes to Blake Masters. Already, this race is within a point. And if he wins the undecided vote, Masters is going to win this race. And the reason I think this poll is going to be the most accurate is, well, you scroll down here, the party ID. This is R+4 sample. In 2020 was R+9 sample. But you can look at party registration data, it's like R+5. So it's right in the ballpark of, what it should be. Unlike Wisconsin and Michigan. Michigan, Wisconsin, I have some problems with their, party participation, their age, their ethnicity, etc. Arizona, I think they got roughly right based on what I've seen. But in any case, you look at the Senate race, it's basically within the margin of error, especially when you factor in the Libertarian undecided vote share. A lot of them are going to go Republican. They tend to always do that. And Mark Kelly, I'm surprised he's this low. All right. I'm pretty sure he's lower than, no, actually, Ron Johnson's lower. But I'm surprised. I am surprised he's only at 47.5%. That seems, kind of lower than I thought he was going to get. And Masters being at 44%, especially right after the primary, that is a good sign. Again, I'm just saying that, I'm just saying this because the age and party weights look about right. Unlike Wisconsin, that's why I'm more confident in saying that this poll is probably going to be more accurate. I know it's probably me having a little bit of a biased lens, but you look at some of these numbers like Carrie Lake up by a point, overperforming Masters. That's right. That's what's going to happen this fall. Like what we saw in Wisconsin for the not what we saw in Wisconsin. This is the complete opposite. It's unlike Wisconsin. It's about what you would expect. And Lake's already winning this poll. And they may have missed a couple Republican votes. So you start doing some math here. And in fact, Katie Hobbs is, should be up ahead because she is an incumbent, I think she's Secretary of State, if I'm not mistaken. She should be winning this race. She should not be down by a point already. And, well, her campaign's about to collapse. I mean, all the stuff coming out about her campaign, not pretty. But for the Blake Masters Mark Kelly race, it's going to be a close one. But this Mark Kelly only at 47.5%. When you look at all the weight variables that are about right, I think Kelly's in much deep trouble. And again, for Wisconsin, I'm just saying take with a grain of salt because the weights seem a bit off. Some of the data points to seem weird. And the fact of the matter is Wisconsin is impossible to pull. It's not like Arizona that it's relatively easy to pull Arizona. Wisconsin, good luck. Good luck. So even Trafalgar, I think, is going to fall flat in Wisconsin. Like, they're going to be close. They're going to be closer than most polls, but I still think they're going to miss by a couple points, just based on what I'm seeing. And Wisconsin is just historically hard to pull. You can't pull that race whatsoever. But yeah, it looks like Republicans, they're doing a bit better than expected in the polls. So it seems like a good sign for them this fall. Anyways, folks, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share it to friends, hit that little bell, and yes, of course, go follow that mysterious Twitter account in the description down below. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video. Godspeed to all of you.